Okay, we're trying something different this time. We're doing a voiceover on a drawing that was already made. The drawing was made on site a couple of days ago, and I'm looking at it now on my screen and seeing what could be said about this. The most interesting thing is really, once you start drawing, everything is almost on automatic. It's almost like there's no thinking at all. The pencil starts moving and it keeps moving, and you're watching some things, but you're making up a lot of things too. I like those little 3 things in the corner. I saw something, and you make a notation. The other thing that happens is, as you're making that line has energy, and that's what pulls it almost automatically. That's why you don't have to think. It's because the line itself is really exciting to see. It's almost like it's electric. It just comes out of you and has interest automatically. You don't have to make it interesting. It becomes interesting automatically. But above and beyond that, you have to do something with it. So, you're watching the scene. You need some kind of notation. So that's why sometimes you need differences. The line itself will have energy, but then you need these extreme darks, and you need masses, and you need some sort of notation to suggest that something is different from something else. And there's not really a lot of things that are invented that way. There's maybe, 5 or 6 or 7 things. That's not a lot for all that variety you're seeing. So here, what I'm doing is I'm suggesting that grass, and the lines are only slightly different there than where they are somewhere else. See, you're seeing what I'm looking at. That grass area is different than what's above, so it needs some sort of notation, but that notation is so brief, there's not a lot to it. So the drawing goes on, and now I'm looking, where are the darks? And where are the middles, and which parts are light, and how do I divide that up? So I think I've decided on the left, and you see in the scene too, on the left it's the most dark. On the right it's dark, but not as dark as that, but it has some dark areas too. And the road is lighter than the sky, but not too dark. In retrospect, when I see this thing finished, I think the road could be darker now than it is. But I didn't see that at the time. But I might have, if I saw that now, I might have made the road darker. Here's that notation again with the grass on the right, trying to make that differently than what the masses of the trees. Here I'm entering the highlights on the road, thinking that I will keep them. But then I decide it's too fiddly to keep them, so I cover over them and I try to reclaim them later. We'll see how that goes. Again, this is different than a painting because there's no thinking. There is thinking, but it's a different kind of thinking. Since everything is almost automatically done or very quickly done, then the thinking comes in, kind of an organizational thinking. What happens if I do this? If this is dark, where's the next dark? How do the darks connect up? If this is the darkest part, how do I balance that darkness somewhere else in the picture? So it's kind of strategic, organizational thinking. It's not while the hand is continually moving. Like those lines, I didn't really decide to make those lines. They arrive as a result of seeing. seeing what's there and then putting in some sort of an equivalent. I don't know if you call that thinking. It's almost automatic. I wouldn't even call that thinking. So it's very pleasing not to have to think. That's why I make a lot of these. So always something in drawing about emphasis. If something is entered, how many degrees of strength do you have for that kind of mark? So that's why things are gone over, repeated at times for greater emphasis. And you're careful not to repeat it in the same place because that can look picky and gone over. But if you need some more darkness in an area, you move it a little bit more to the right, a little bit more to the left. You darken, but not in the same place where you were before. Not exactly the same place. So you see the drawing is progressing pretty quickly. And always, even from the start, it really helps to have this balance of the darks to the middles to the lights in a midst with a great bunch of line varieties. Always shapes too, shapes within shapes, smaller shapes within bigger shapes. Always looking up to see what is the basis of this thing. Always looking up to see how can it be abstracted. Like if the darks are in this area, am I making sure that I'm getting them? And can they be simplified? And if something is looking too simple, then I look again to see what kind of notation, what kind of mark making could be put in there to suggest what is there, but not in a very descriptive way, just in a kind of a abbreviated manner to fill an area, but not just to fill it, to fill it so that it is purposely opposing some other area. Like going over that area on the left to gradually strengthen it and darken it from the other areas. It's nice how it's automatic. I mean, it's not pure automatism, of course, but it's nice how it's kind of self-sustaining. You know, you just go out and make a drawing, and because you're there, the drawing happens. Because you're there and looking, the drawing happens. You don't have to knock yourself out over it. And once you start making it, the decisions are kind of on autopilot too. I don't know how many cars passed when I was there. Not many. Maybe that was the only one. I like that soft lead in the pencil because it gets those really nice darks. I don't even know what it is, but obviously in my pencils I have 3 pencils. This is the softest one, and then there's one that's kind of hard, gives a real fine line, and then I have a real hard one. I very seldom use the really hard one. I basically use 2 kinds of pencils, but the lead, I mean, I have a whole bunch of lead types here, and I can't even remember which lead type it is, but it's not super soft. It's not super hard, but it gives me that ability to get that dark. And I buy different leads from at different times. You can get different pencils too that have different apertures, different widths to hold the different widths of lead. And I think I have some of those too. I have some varieties of pencils, but I'm not clinical about it. You know, I don't say I need this kind of pencil. I just, whatever I have, I use. It's the same with my paints. I mean, there are certain paints, colors that I want, that I need to have, but I don't go nuts over that. I don't say you need this and you need this and you need this. I tend to use what I get. That's why it's hard teaching anybody how to do something like this. I mean, I would prefer to talk about this very informally as I am doing it. And anybody who wants to learn to draw or take something away from the way I'm drawing could just see this, follow along, and say, okay, well, maybe in the spirit of that I can try something, but it's not as a matter, it's not you do this and you get that. It's not like that. You have to be kind of informal and amorphous to learn about art. You have to do it intuitively. And that doesn't mean you can't learn. You can learn. And you can learn from people. But this paint by number method is not, it's not ideal. You can learn that way, especially when you're young, when you don't know anything. I mean, you can take very specific directions and grow. But once you get some chops and you know a few things, it is actually true that everybody's self-taught. And how you get self-taught is you look at a lot of people who are doing it, and you sniff around them and you see how they're doing it, and you take this and you take that and you put it into your own mix, your own blend, and you come up with your method or your methods, plural. And so that's why I'm doing these videos in this kind of informal way. And that's why I don't really want to teach a class anymore. At least not unless I find a way to teach a class in this very informal way. I think watching the videos would be the class, then trying the method, seeing what you make of it. So here at this stage, you notice I'm slowing down a bit, and what I'm doing is I'm gradually building up darks. I'm gradually looking for connections, like where do I need some smalls to balance the darks? Where can a small area lead in? 3 small things connect like dots to the eye, lead into a darker area.